What is up, YouTube? That's here. Today I'm bringing you the start of a 3-part series where I'm going to be going over every single returning Pokemon in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We're not doing any spoilers. We're not going to be showing a bunch of new stuff and talking about leaks or anything. We're just going to be reviewing Pokemon that have already been confirmed to be in the game through official trailers and talking about returning Pokemon that are going to be really good in both singles and doubles. This video we're going to be going over all of the Pokemon from generations 1 and 2. The next video will probably be going over gens 3, 4, and 5, and then the last one will be 6, 7, and then, and 8, and just reviewing everything. But yeah, there's a bunch of Pokemon that are returning. They're already confirmed to be in the game. We're going to be talking about each Pokemon's viability in both VGC and singles. And if you guys like this, you want to see more stuff like that, think about leaving a like, think about leaving a comment. If you want to sub to the channel, that's completely free to do. I would also appreciate it. Also, let me know in the comments what Pokemon you're most excited to use and why out of all of the returning Pokemon. Let me know. I will also say, this is the last little shout out before we actually get into this, my band where I play all the instruments, I do all the guitar, all the singing, all the bass, all the everything. I just released a new song. There's links to the Spotify, the SoundCloud, and the Bandcamp in the description. If you guys want to listen to that, let me know what you think in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to make one new song at least every single month and upload it consistently. And I think this is probably one of the better songs that I've ever made. So I really like this song. I would really appreciate it if you went and checked it out. If you want to save it on Spotify, or follow the Spotify page, I'd really appreciate it. But for those guys that are just interested in the Pokemon content, we're going to hop right into this. This is a stream highlight that I streamed all live on Twitch, answered a ton of questions. And if you guys have any questions, you can also leave those in the comments on YouTube, and I'll do my very best to answer. So let's hop into it and talk about each Pokemon's usefulness and which Pokemon you should be using first if you're thinking about getting into competitive Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. Here we go. Let's look at Raichu in depth and actually get into this. Let's see. So again, Raichu, very good Pokemon. Static, not that great of an ability, but Lightning Rod, an amazing hidden ability. It's able to redirect electric attacks to itself, and it makes it so you can pair it with something like a Gyarados, which is also going to be a very good mon, and it stops all single target electric attacks, basically. You can just go Protect with Raichu. It still actually will go into the Raichu slot even if you Protect, so it makes Raichu the perfect partner for things that have big electric weaknesses like Gyarados, like Charizard, other flyers and stuff like that, Corviknight. Raichu is a very good mon. It also gets a base 110 speed tier, and that's really important because Raichu gets Fake Out. It's one of the faster Fake Out users in the format, and Fake Out is able to flinch an opponent's mon before they really even do anything. It lets you set up Tailwinds, it lets you set up any sort of other speed control, lets you set up other moves with your teammates, and it's a very safe way to start the game. It's very important in doubles to use Fake Out, and Raichu is one of the better Fake Out users out there. Just because it's so fast. Like, for example, if I'm using Fake Out and my opponent's using Fake Out, I'm going to be able to Fake Out their Fake Out user with my Raichu and allow my teammate to do the thing that I want it to do before their last Pokemon can actually do anything. So Raichu, really important in this whole format. I think it's really good that we're starting this off. I don't know if we're going to be able to use Alolan Raichu. I also like that one as well, but I don't think there's going to be as much electric terrain. We're talking about other really cool moves that Raichu and the Pikachu line get. It gets Encore as well, which is going to be very important in this format. Encore, able to lock your opponent into the last move that they used. So one thing that I really like doing is I like trading Encore, or trading Fake Outs. So if, let's say I lead Raichu Gyarados, and my opponent leads I don't know if it's in the game, Hitmontop and, let's see, Hitmontop and, I don't care. Let's just go Vileplume, throw a random Pokemon. I Fake Out their Vileplume, they Fake Out my Gyarados, or my Raichu. Doesn't really matter. So, worst case scenario, we traded Fake Outs in that situation. We Fake Out each other's partners. They can even Fake Out my Raichu, but remember, my Fake Out goes first. The only thing we want to know is we want to lock them into that Fake Out. So then, next turn, we can then Encore their Fake Out user, right? Encore their Fake Out user, so they're stuck using Fake Out, and then their teammate has to fight a 1v2 for the next 3 to 4 turns, or sorry, 2 to 3 turns, and basically they have to switch out that mon that was locked into Fake Out, and on that switch we can nuke something that's coming in. Works every single time. It's either they're going to lose the mon that got Encored into Fake Out, or they're going to lose something switching in, and then they're going to resend out that Fake Out mon. If they use Fake Out again, they get locked into Encore again. Encore does not have priority. It only has priority on Prankster users, but remember, Raichu's a base 110 speed, so it functions as a Prankster user, kind of, because it's so fast. But what is really cool is you can Encore Dark types with non-Prankster mons. So Raichu going to be very important. Also, we're going to start looking at this list a little bit more. Electric types are going to be really, really good in this gen. Just throwing that out there. Things like Gyarados are going to be really good. As we get down the line, things like Azumarill are going to be very good. Things like Murkrow are going to be very good. Things like, I think the best Pokemon out, Strapper is going to be great. Intimidate users are great. It's good against all the Intimidators, basically, even like Arcanine. Things like Talonflame is probably going to be the best Pokemon in the format. So Electric users are going to be premium. Very, 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 very good in this format. Just because it keeps those Pokemon in check. So that's Raichu, basically. Thoughts on using Terastallization as a defense mechanic instead of using it as an offensive mechanic? So that's the thing. I think, in theory, that is good, right? But the same thing can be said for, like, Dynamax, right? Someone, like, imagine the same question 3 years ago. Thoughts on using Dynamax as a defensive mechanic as opposed to an offensive mechanic? You know, getting, like, Max Quake or Max Steel Spike boosts. And in reality, while that's how some teams work, you're going to get more bang for your buck just blowing something up. And I think that it's cool to think of, you know, Terra-ing to change your type to be defensive, but in reality, if you can just blow something up, the best defense is a good offense, especially with these mechanics that have the power to just blow something up. Wise Dog, how's it going? So yeah, I think, you know, it's the same type of thing as Dynamax. While it can be used very defensively, I think the best way to play it is going to be to use Protects and Pivots to make your opponent reveal their Terra and then punish them for revealing their you know, like, their cheese early. And so once you know what all their type coverages can be, you can then Terra into a type that blocks it, right? I think that's probably going to be the best way to use Terra, and other than just blowing something up, because you can definitely just do that. Anyways, let's talk about Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff, you may be thinking, like, why am I even talking about this? You can use it defensively if you're pinned or something, but you can just KO, then go for it. Yeah, that's the thing. And most people are just going to go turn one and just pop off. So Wigglytuff's actually not a bad mon. It gets Frisk, which is a good ability in doubles, being able to scout items. It's good for teams that need to set TRs. It has very, very good typing. Normal Fairy, good typing. But the cool thing about Wigglytuff is it gets competitive. And like I was talking about earlier, Intimidate users are going to be very, very, very popular. There's going to be 1 to 2 on every team, I think. And so competitive users get a +2 special attack anytime like one of their stats are dropped. So I think it's just their stats, not even their, yeah, it's just their stats. So it sharply raises their special attack. And Wigglytuff has a decent special attack, great base HP. You don't even need to fully invest in HP. You can do like 100 points in HP, rest in defenses. If Assault Vest's still in the game, we can use like Assault Vest and go very, very bulky. And then Wigglytuff has amazing coverage. It gets amazing coverage. Dazzling Gleam's an AoE move. It gets Perish Song too as an egg move if you need it, but like it gets Ice Beam, it gets Thunderbolts, it gets Flamethrowers, it gets Focus Blast, it gets like everything. It gets like everything you would need on a Pokemon to have good coverage. And I think a lot of people are going to sleep on Wigglytuff in this format, but I do think that it's one of those mons that you can't just go all in with your Intimidators and think that you can just roll over Wigglytuff, because, you know, if I were to use Wigglytuff and I paired my Wigglytuff with an Intimidate user, one thing we're going to notice on a lot of these Intimidate users is they're mostly all physical. So it's not the same as like the formats we have now. Like Salamence is, you know, a good special attacker that uses Intimidate. There aren't really any special attackers that use Intimidate. It's things like Gyarados. Arcanine is, you know, it could be mixed, but like it doesn't really matter. And then things like Straptor. Those are all physical mons. And so if I just surrounded my Wigglytuff with my own Intimidate user, I can neuter your Intimidate user, make it so they can't kill my Wigglytuff, and get like double KOs with big Wigglytuff. So it's actually really, really cool, and I think this Pokemon's going to be a lot better than people think in this format. We're not going to talk about Golbat because Crobat's going to be just a little bit later on the list. Venomoth is okay. Venomoth is okay. I'd say Venomoth is much better in singles. Just because it gets Quiver Dance. I don't know if Baton Pass is going to be legal in this format, but being able to have like Tinted Lens makes it so it's not very effective moves get powered up. So you can't really like wall a Venomoth. It's going to get its Quiver Dances, giving it a +1 speed, special attack, and special defense. It's going to be very, very bulky. It's going to be very, very strong. You can go for Sleep Powder, 75% accuracy. And then even if like you're a Steel type or a Fire type that would normally wall Bug Buzz, it can just Bug Buzz through everything. And the fact that it has Tinted Lens makes it so it hits for basically neutral damage even when things are not very effective. So it's an okay mon, much better in singles though. It has a pretty good base speed stat of 90, so if you make it timid after what is it, a Quiver Dance, it's gonna be faster than a lot of stuff. So Venomoth, underrated mon for sure, but only really good in singles, not really that great in VGC. Let's go Doug Trio. Let's see. Let's read some chat. Does chat have anything to say? Blissey 2.0, basically Wigglytuff. Yeah, I mean that's basically what it is. I think any idea is Terra Rock Wiggly, giving it something to smack Arcanine and Talon with. I mean, it can. I think it gets water moves too. I think it gets water moves. I think it gets like Surf, you know? And a +2 like water attack would just be able to pop something off. Oh man, this is gonna be so much talking. Why is Venomoth not good in VGC? It's too frail and one of the most that's a good question. Always feel free to ask those things. It has a weakness to rock, right? It's a bug type. It also has weakness to Psychic. Those are two very, very popular types in VGC, Psychic types and Rock types. Rock, everything has Rock side in VGC because it's a 30% chance flinch rate and hits multiple Pokemon. So Venomoth comes in a little bit slower than things, and it needs setup moves. Things like Dragon Dance, things like Agility, things like Quiver Dance, those are just not as common in VGC because in singles, you can send those things out against something you know can't fight, can't one-shot you. But in VGC, there's two things. You have to mitigate twice the stuff. And even if you could wall one of them, if they double up into you, bug types usually aren't bulky enough to pull that stuff off. They're not like dragons. They're not bulky enough. So yeah, it needs setup to be okay. And then once it even gets the Quiver Dance, it's still not good. Like, there's no reason to use, like, I'd rather have a Hydreigon than an already +1 Venomoth, I think. Right? That's kind of just how it goes. VGC gonna be welcome to Torkoal Town. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of Lilycole, I think. Just don't read chat for a bit. Are you talking to me? No, I gotta read the chat, man. This is a stream. Gotta answer the questions. I'm also still waking up. All right, Doug Trio. So Doug Trio gets very, very good ability in both singles and doubles. It's been banned in singles before. It gets Arena Trap, and so if anything's on the ground, it makes it so they can't switch. Now, I will say, you could Terra into like a flying type to gain flying and then next turn switch to avoid the Arena Trap. That's kind of cool. But Arena Trap's really, really good. It's basically a shadow tag for anything touching the ground that doesn't have Levitate or is flying. Doug Trio gets a really, really good base speed set of 120, so it's going to be able to outspeed most things in the meta. Sash Doug Trio is pretty popular. Good Earthquake Mon, great for like EQ discharge teams, pinning things. I think it's gotten Faint in the past. It gets Sucker Punch, it gets Rock Slides. Doug Trio is a very, very underrated Mon, and it's good. This is a good example of a Pokemon that like when the format starts and people are trying to figure out the meta, and you know, a lot of teams when people really start to like hone things, they're like, all right, cool, I know I can live this if I pivot and switch in my Intimidate user. Well, if I'm using a Doug Trio, you can't switch in your Intimidate user. In fact, like, you can't switch something in, and you also can't switch something out. So if I lead Doug Trio and like a flying type, I can go, or like for example, like a Doug Trio Rotom, I could go EQ, Discharge, you can't switch, you can't do that much, and you just fall over. Like a Scarf Rotom, Stash Doug Trio, all your calcs and all your pivoting and everything that you have planned kind of just gets rolled over by this Pokemon. This is a perfect example of a Pokemon that punishes people for trying to learn how to use new stuff while not respecting the classics. So Doug Trio is very, very good. It's often banned in singles near the end of the formats because Arena Trap's just like really, really good. You can U-turn and whatnot out of Arena Trap, but it doesn't help you if you're unprepared. Yeah, and that's the thing is like you can U-turn. You can't Volt Switch because it's a ground type, but it's also fast, right? So it's a 120 if you pair it with another fast Mon. You can basically just gimp your opponents before they even get a chance to play the game. So very, very underrated Mon. Yeah, also Ghost types can't be trapped. Yeah, Ghost types, that's their ability, or the effect of like Ghost types means they can't be trapped. Persian's another really, really good Mon. People are going to sleep on Persian. I don't know anything about low one forms in these games, but I do know that Persian being in the game is good. It gets Unnerved, which is good for turning off berries. People are going to sleep on Unnerved at the start of the format, and it will be good probably around, like, you know, the format's going to start in January. It's probably going to be this. I'll say it. Unnerved Persian will top cut a regional probably around February or March when people start using more berries. And once the meta's figured out and people know that they can start using defensive berries again. It's the same thing in every single format. People start off Choice Scarfs, Focus Sash, Life Orbs, Choice Bands, like aggressive, right? And then someone finds a team that can play defensively and everyone copies that team. And then people experiment from that team and flesh out their teams with more defensive options. And once that defensive meta is at its peak, someone's going to come with a Persian that has Fake Out, it has Unnerve, and they're just going to roll people over, right? It's really, really good. So, I think it's good. Technician's also very good on regular Persian. Being able to boost the power of all its normal moves. It's a 115 base speed. So, you know, I was talking about how Raichu is a 110. This is faster. So you can Fake Out other Raichus with Persian. Persian also gets good other coverage moves. It can be physical or special. And if you use Technician, it can actually be a good special attacker. It gets things like Shockwave, usually. It gets things like Water Pulse, usually. Swift hits both, boosted by Technician. That's kind of cool. Gets Nasty Plot, usually. Very, very underrated mon in regular Persian. And I definitely am going to use a lot of this Pokemon myself. I think Persian is really, really fun. And the Alolan Persian's even better. Fur Coat's an amazing ability, making so you take reduced damage from physical moves. So really, really good on both sides. But yeah, base Persian, very, very underrated, I would say. All right, Golduck. We used Golduck in BDSP the other day. Most people like it for Swift Swim. I think there are better Swift Swim users in the format we're going to see as we get down the list. But Cloud9 is what a lot of people use it for, being able to take away weather. I was talking about this a little bit earlier. Lilycole's going to be really, really big. There are better Cloud9 users already confirmed in the game, though, so I don't think Golduck's going to see play for Cloud9. I might use it for Swift Swim if it can keep Encore. But in reality, in terms of like just Pokemon, its base stats are pretty subpar. Base 95 is okay, but base 85 speed is very under usable levels, I would say. Let's read this thing in chat. With the Hisuian Zoroark confirmed, I think it's going to be the same as Gen 8. Sorry, Gen 7 and 8. Transfer Pokemon. Transferable via Pokemon Home and usable immediately due to sharing the deck slot with the original. Okay. You're talking about, like I was talking about using the low ones and stuff like that? Okay. But yeah, back to Golduck. Base 85 is not that great. So if I'm going to go Golduck and have Swift Swim and double my speed, if I'm going to be fighting against literally anything else, and they have like a Tailwind mon that they can just go for Prankster Tailwind like Murkrow or Talonflame or even any other form of +2 speed control, Golduck at +2 just isn't fast enough, just because 85 is well below the threshold of what is acceptable as like a fast mon. I'd say it really depends on the format, right? I think Golduck is actually one of the better Swift Swim picks in past years, but as we start looking at this list more, we're going to realize there's a ton of Swift Swim mons in this game. You don't need to use Golduck anymore. I would say what I've always said is not Ambipom, I was just reading that. Base 100 is the threshold. If you're faster than base 100, you are fast. If you're slower than base 100, you are slow. Now that changes every single year. Currently in Sword and Shield, right now for this VGC format, you know, a lot of any restricted format, 90s are really popular. So they get scaled down. If you're faster than 90, you're fast. If you're slower than 90, you're slow. If we take a look at 2017, that's the year with Tapus and Arcanine. That's base 95s on those. So if you're faster than 95, you're fast. And, you know, for example, Mimikyu seen as a fast Pokemon in that format, whereas in any other format where base 100 would be seen as fast, Mimikyu seen as slow. So it really depends. We don't know exactly what speed tier is going to be deemed as fast and what's going to be slow, but we do know that 85 is usually on the slower side, so Golduck's just a little bit too slow. 90 is decent, but like decent doesn't cut it, you know? Decent doesn't cut it. If you can have 90, you could have 91, you could have 99, but if like 90% of the meta is things that are base 100, it doesn't matter. You know, you could be, you know, second best is still the first failure, you know? So that's a good example. 105 without Tailwind should be fine. See, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. All right. For example, you say anything above 100 or 105 without Tailwind should be fine. But, like I was just talking about, what if Raichu's everywhere? It's a 110. You can't even play. What if Gengar's like the best Pokemon in the format for some reason? It's a 110. Can't play the game. We kind of got flipped on our head, too, in 2017 when they came out with, like, Kartana and Alola Ninetales. Everyone thinks Garchomp's so good, so fast. 102. Kartana and Alola Ninetales are 109. That's such a weird number. Absolutely invalidated like a lot of those Pokemon's niches, right? So it's one of those things where 100 to 105 should be fine, but we don't know, right? We don't know yet, but 85 is slow. So that's all. We do know that 85 is slow. Time to take a look at our boy Arcanine. Straptor and Sally will also exist, base 100 Intimidators. Is Sally in the game though? I haven't seen Sally yet. I've seen Straptor, but I haven't seen Sally yet. So let me get a sip of my coffee. We'll talk about this one because this is going to be a big talk. This one's going to be a big talk on Arcanine. Case in point, this is going to be the best like Intimidate user in the format, probably. He's in the trailer? Okay, cool. What's the best way to check the current meta of time and find the base speed average for the meta. So what you can do is go to Pokemon Showdown. And on Pokemon Showdown, you can sort it by speed in the team builder. You can also do that on Celebi. Yeah. All right, Yellow Volt 6'9". That's a cool emote, yo. So, we're going to be talking about Arcanine now. Arcanine gets Intimidate. It also gets Flash Fire. It also gets Justified. You're not really going to use Justified that much in this format, even though Beat Up's a cool mechanic. Not as good in this format without Dynamax. Intimidate is what you use Arcanine for, being able to get a -1 attack on both of your opponent's Pokemon immediately upon being sent out. What's cool about Arcanine is it has a 95 base speed, so it puts that above, like things like that Golduck we were just talking about, above a lot of mons. You can go for Will-O-Wisp and Snarl. That's very uncommon. You can go for Morning Sun. That's kind of cool. Doesn't see as much play. Has a good attack stat, good special attack stat. There's also, I think, a chance of the Hisuian Arcanine coming into play too. I'm not going to talk about that very much because we don't have like data on that. But regular Arcanine is amazing. It's very, very bulky. Packed with the Intimidate, put some points in HP and Spadef. Very, very good mon. Decently fast, and yeah, Arcanine in theory, not in theory, Arcanine's been good for like 5 or 6 years. I think, you know, I really do think, I've said this before, I'm pretty sure I'm the first person to ever top cut a regional with Arcanine. Like, I'm pretty sure that I am. I don't think that it ever had any regional top cuts before I did. The first regional of 2015, right? I don't think Arcanine was used. It wasn't used. It wasn't in 2011, right? I don't think it top cut any events in 2010 because it was a restricted format, or 2009. Those were restricted, so it wouldn't see play. And also back then, Arcanine didn't even have Flare Blitz. I don't think it didn't have close combat. It didn't have like anything. Intimidate also wasn't that good. It was all special attackers back then. It wasn't in 2011. In 2012, I don't think it top cut anything. I really don't think that it did because it didn't have the coverage. Why would you use an Arcanine when you could just use a good Pokemon? Like, because 2012 is like things like Landorus and all the good mons. And so, and in 2013, same deal. Even more like busted good mons 2013. 2014 wasn't in the decks. I top cut the first regional of 2015 with it. How's it going? It's going good. So like, I'm pretty sure I have the first Arcanine top cut ever at a VGC regional. And that set used Weakness Policy Arcanine. And I know Weakness Policy sounds like a good item, but you had to rely on your opponents to proc it back in the day, which is how this format's going to go. If you want to use a Weakness Policy in this new format, you're going to have to rely on your opponents to proc it. No more, like, it's the only self-policy procking mon might be like Colossal, I think, with like Bruxish as a teammate. That's probably like the only one that's going to be half decent. There's no more going to be like policy proc your teammate, carry the game, because they don't have the bulk from Dynamax anymore, right? So that set was really cool because if you switched in on an Earthquake or a Rock Slide, two moves you took super effective damage from, they were both physical, you'd intimidate them, lower their stats, you wouldn't take that much damage, then you could revenge KO those Pokemon with a +2 extreme speed. Really, really cool set, had good coverage, fighting moves, fire moves, good stuff. So that Arcanine set's not going to be very good, but it just shows that this Pokemon can do a lot of different stuff. And it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. Dragonite maybe with multi-scale, you're talking about Weakness Policy, but the thing is, like, you wouldn't proc your... I've talked about this before. You would not be procking your own Dragonite's policy through multi-scale because you'd be breaking your own multi-scale, right? Dragonite can just hold a policy. Policy is going to be used on a lot of mons, but it's not going to be self-policy procking anymore. It's going to be like Aegislash is a really, really good policy mon because it sits back, lets them hit it, procs its policy, and then returns back in one-shots. Yeah. You say 80s are fine on defense, seems a bit low. Remember, Arcanine has Intimidate, so you don't need to put any investment in Arcanine's defense because it has Intimidate. So that means what you can do is because you know you have the Intimidate built in, you can go investment in HP and Spadef and make it so you actually are fully well-rounded. Like, Arcanine's one of those Pokemon that seems way bulkier than it really is. Like, an 80 is also fine on defense because it has a 90 base HP, which is a good number. Sorry, I'm reading chat. All I'm saying is Terra type's going to change competitive battling. If you can 30% off with the Terra type, they wouldn't expect. It's the same thing as gems, right? Terra typing is going to be very, very similar to how gems were in Gen 5. That's it. You think you're safe in a matchup, and then they hit you with like a, you think like, oh, I'm fine. And then they hit you with like a Dark Gem boosted crunch, and you're like, I'm dead. You know? It's the exact same. Like, it's the same thing. It's just like Z moves too. There are more nuances because you can use them defensively. It does change things, but it's basically like a, oh, that happened. But you know, and once the cat's out of the bag, it's out of the bag. So it's actually even, I'm not gonna say more balanced than gems, because like with gems you could have like 6 gems and you could trick like 6 different times. You know, with Z-moves you only got 1, right? With this, you know, you change and then you're like that for the rest of the game. So it's not like, it's not really changing competitive battling, more so going back to what competitive battling already had and tweaking the mechanic a little bit. So let's continue the list. Let's continue the list. So we're going to talk about Slowbro. Slowbro's a great Mon. Slowbro might be one of the best Trick Room setters in the game. Regenerator's an amazing ability, both singles and doubles. Own Tempo, decent. Not being able to be confused. Also makes so you can't be intimidated in Sword and Shield, I think. Not that it's as important, but Oblivious is good because you can't get taunted. So it's a Trick Room user that doesn't have to care about taunt. Slowbro's great. We might as well just talk about Slowking here too. Slowking has the 110 base Spadef instead of the defense. They're basically the same thing, just swapped. Slowbro's really good though. It gets Psychic coverage, it gets Slack Off, it gets Trick Room. Bunch of cool stuff on Slowbro. 30 is the correct speed tier for a Trick Room Mon, being able to underspeed enough stuff with 0 speed reduced natures, and just be a big Trick Room bully. Slowbro's gonna be great. Really, really good Terra Mon too. Yeah, Galarian Slowking's gonna be a really, really cool Mon. Slowbro with that Flinch-proof item. Oh yeah, that Flinch-proof item is going to be very good. Yeah, Slowbro is going to be very, very good. Very, very underrated. Also gets like fire coverage for like those pesky like bug steel type things or grass steel type mons. So Slowbro's going to be very, very good. And people are going to have to respect it. It's one of those Pokemon that's really annoying. Like I think the only way to really stop Trick Room against Slowbro is going to have to be to imprison it. And other than that, it's just a really, really solid mon you're going to have to respect. Same thing goes for Slowking. If your team, like, what I would recommend actually is like Slowking with like an Intimidate potential teammate that can switch in or Intimidate user as a partner. So that way Slowking, you can go heavy Spadef investment and have the Intimidate to cover up for that weaker defensive side. Who needs Entity when you can just not be flinched? I know, right? Magneton. We're going to talk very, very briefly about Magneton. Magnezone is going to be more important. We're going to talk about that later, but Magneton is actually not bad. Sturdy, Magnet Pull, great abilities. Magnet Pull can trap, you know, Steel Mons, but Sturdy's the ability used on Magneton usually. 70 base speed's good. The only set that Magnetons ever really use is Scarf. So Scarf on base 70 is fast enough to be used, and then the Sturdy makes it so you kind of have a sash. It's more common in singles. 120 is a great special attack stat. This is a good Scarf Mon. So if any of you guys played Let's Go, Magneton's great, and Magneton's good in the lower tiers of like singles play as a Scarf Mon. It has like a sash and a Scarf built in. So good coverage, good Mon. Magneton's great. Alright, Eviolite. No. Because you don't need the Eviolite because you're sturdy. You don't need the Eviolite because you're sturdy. Alright. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna take the smallest little break because like this is gonna take a bit to do this list. I'm realizing. We're like 7 mons in. And I need to take a chill pill for a sec. So I'll be right back. And we'll get back to it in just 1 sec. In the meantime, go check out my new song that just came out. Here. Go play. I have a new song. You guys can go play it right here. Where is it? It's right here. Go play the new song. It's on Spotify. I just linked it. Go play it. Let me know what you think, and I will be right back. Sorry about that. I need to just step away for a sec. I was like, man, this is gonna take a while today. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, always feel free to ask in the chat. I know it can be a lot of information for people that are kind of new to Sword and Shield. When I say a lot of stuff happening at the same time, I'm doing like a mixture of like singles, doubles, all the stuff. I'm trying to answer all the questions. It's already been 48 minutes. I enjoy all this nerding out. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun to like speculate about things like this, and it really opens like everyone's eyes up to what like could be good. Because while I think me and you have like similar ideas on a lot of stuff, there are some situations where you scale one way and I scale another one, and like it shows everyone the like blend of those two play styles, you know. So let's go into the next mon. Again, I don't know that much about Alolan's, but like if Alolan Muck is in the game, it's gonna be busted. Alolan Muck's one of the best Pokemon ever made. Poison Dark typing is amazing, only really weak against ground. Gluttony's great. Power of Alchemy is another good ability too. Poison Touch isn't even bad. Like, yeah, we're speaking Chinese to players that started in Sword and Shield. I feel it. Yeah, Alolan Muck has great stats. Slow enough to be used in Trick Room, but also good enough to be used in like a Tailwind if you needed it, if you had speed investment. 105 is a good attack stat, even uninvested. It's really, really good. It hits like a truck. So you can go full HP or mostly HP and rest on like HP and Spadef. This is a great stat line. Alolan Muck's always good. Very, very, very good mon. And it's because Alolan Muck You know what? Remember what I said near the start of the stream? How like unnerved mons are going to be good? This might be an indicator of why. Just gets really, really good coverage. Very, very good typing. You can't taunt it with Prankster Mon because it's dark type. Yeah. Like, Poison Touch knockoffs. Like, yeah, Muck can be used in so many different ways. Like, anyone that's seen the Let's Go content knows the power of Alolan Muck. Anyone that played in 2017, 2018 knows the power of Alolan Muck. Very, very underrated mon. In both singles and doubles, but mostly doubles. Cloyster's really good, mostly in singles though. Actually, funny story about Cloyster. You know, it gets a skill link which lets its multi-hit moves hit for 5 times. So it goes for like Icicle Spears, it goes for Rock Blast, it goes for does it get Bullet? It doesn't get Bullet Seed, but you know all those multi-hit moves. And basically, you want to sash it or wider a bit. You go for a Shell Smash. It might get that new ability or that Shell ability that Claw guy gets, but either way, Cloyster basically is a glass cannon after it gets its Shell Smash off, and it's mostly used in singles. But it's funny, you know, VGC regionals used to be best of 1, and in the 2014 season, I went to like 5 or 6 regionals. My first 3 regionals, let me answer this question about Muck. What does Muck have to do with Unnerve? So, Muck, its best ability is Gluttony. You put those pinch berries on it, and it uses them early at 50%. And like I said, Muck's really, really bulky, so you can't one-shot the Muck, and so you're gonna have to proc its berry. And then if you have to proc its berry, it gets so much health back, and it usually gets recycled, so it gets its berry back all the time. Muck is basically just unbreakable. And so Unnerve makes it so they can't use their berries, right? So their Muck can't Gluttony if you have Unnerve. So it's going to be a very, very good ability for keeping those Mucks in check. So like if I were to go Persian and a teammate, I can go like double up into that Muck and get it off the board immediately in 1 turn. So that's how it works. Yeah, Muck not having 50% Confusion Berries anymore. Yes, it is. Yeah, in fact, they're only like 35% is going to be nice if they keep that. But, yeah, so Cloyster's really good. But anyways, back to my story. I went to my first 3 regionals of 2014. I fought against a Cloyster in the first round. And Cloyster's one of those mons that, like, if someone's crazy enough to bring a Cloyster to a VGC tournament, like, you got to get that person out of there because they're nuts. Like, they're crazy. You don't use Shell Smash Cloyster in, like, VGC. It's not really that. It's just not good. But, like, if it pops off, it's really, really scary. So being able to, like, go... It makes sense for singles players to really think Shell Smash will be good in VGC. You go Fake Out, you can get your Shell Smash off, and it makes it so you can get that off, and it's really... It seems like it's good, but it's not, because your Glass Cannons just aren't as good in VGC. Case in point, like, Greninja is not that great of a VGC Pokemon, whereas it's busted in singles. It even has, like, one of the best moves in VGC, Mat Block, and it's still not that great. So, yeah, it's just really scary to fight Cloyster in VGC. You don't see it that often. It's mostly a singles mon, just because it's so one-dimensional. But if it can get set up, it's great. And then one of the reasons why, like I guess I'll explain the reason why it's not good in VGC, is after you get that Shell Smash off, yeah, you can one-shot something, but then the other Pokemon's teammate's just going to one-shot your Cloyster because your stats have been dropped. Tank Blastoise is better than Shell Smash. Yeah, I think what I've been doing with Blastoise recently in VGC is I've been going, like, more aggressive Blastoise so I can actually punish people with, like, I liked going Blastoise with Cali Shadow, so I can go, like, Max Strike and just Water Spout. And then I can go, like, also, instead of just having, like, a Protect on the Blastoise, I just put Shell Smash there, and if I really need to protect with Blastoise, I can just G-Max it and go Max Guard. But that's an outdated mechanic now. Wonder about Terastallization and Protein. I mean, Protein just makes you that type, and then it would just give you a second stab. So, yeah. Gengar. Gengar's really good. To every single person that says, like, Gengar needs Levitate, why'd they take it away? And they want Gengar to have Levitate? I'm gonna explain to you why. Gengar does not need Levitate. Gengar is a Ghost type. It also is a Poison type. These are 2 very aggressive types and defensive types. They wall a lot of stuff, and they hit a lot of stuff for very, very good damage. Another thing, Gengar has one of those 110 base speed stats that I said is really, really important, and a 130 base special stat with amazing coverage and amazing support moves. Now, this Pokemon is already better than every Poison type and pretty much every Ghost type. It's already better than them, right? Even without an ability. That's how it do be. So, the question is, why would you use another Ghost type? You know? especially if Gengar had Levitate. Why would you even use it when you can use a Gengar, right? Gengar basically invalidated every other poison type and every other ghost type because it was already so much better than them and it had Levitate. There was no reason to ever use something else. But now, think about it. If you really, like, you could use a Mischievous. You could use a Mismagius. They're a ghost type, very similar to Gengar, a little bit weaker, a little bit slower, but it has Levitate, right? Taking away Levitate from Gengar made it so there was actually a reason to use other ghost types, right? It's balance. It's making the game fair. Every team had Gengar in it. It, like, is not good for the game when Gengar had Levitate. It's not good for the game. This is much better. Curse Body is a lame ability because it's like RNG, but like Curse Body is more balanced than Levitate in my opinion. Also, case in point, Gengar got banned in BDSP and singles with Curse Body, not Levitate. Levitate Gengar not banned. Curse Body banned, but like that's just because Gengar got nasty plot in that game. Yeah, like Gengar is just better than all the other ghost types, and it gets a lot of really cool moves. Destiny Bond, you know, Thunderbolts, Will-O-Wisps, Ghost coverage, special or poison coverage. Very, very good mon. Yeah, Haunter. There's reasons to use Haunter. Haunter has Levitate, and it's not bad. It's a base 95 speed mon, base 110 special attack. Very, very usable still. So, did I say 110? Haunter's 105 speed? Or 100, what is it? 95, a little bit worse, but it's still usable. 115 special attack, better than I thought. So, Haunter's not bad. Haunter's not bad. But Levitate's good. So, that's basically it. Oh, Hypno. Hypno's not going to see play. It won't. I know a lot of people like Hypno, but it won't see play. It gets Insomnia, which is kind of cool. Inner Focus, which is great. But it just doesn't have the stat line to actually back into this stuff up. It has good HP, it has decent HP, good sped def. It's a little bit too fast to be used inside of Trick Room, though. And so, when you think of Hypno, you think of, like, it can use, like, Calm Mind and a couple other things. But it just doesn't really get any, like, unique mechanics that put it apart from other Trick Room setters. So, like, why would you use this over, like, a Slowbro? There's not really, like, a reason to use a Hypno. It's cool, right? But it's just not good. Hypno is one of those mons that really fit in with the way Gen 1 was made, right? Gen 1 was a very unique mechanic. That was before the physical special split. That was when, like, all moves of a certain type were either physical or special, and, like, the game was coded differently, and Hypno was basically, like, a product of that time. Hypno was great in Gen 1 because it was a psychic type that could use physical attacks and be like bulky and do a bunch of other stuff without having to just be like a herp derp Calm Mind psychic user. So Hypno's cool. It just doesn't really have a place in this meta anymore. But it's bulkier than people give it credit for, and it's sometimes fun to use. Hopefully they give it something. I have no idea. Chansey. Chansey's always busted. Singles, doubles. Chansey's always popular. It's the best Eviolite mon in the game. It's basically unbreakable. Eviolite gives you a 1.5 on your SpDef and defense stats if you are a not fully evolved form, which, you know, Chansey is because they introduced Blissey, and so that HP stat is amazing. I've talked about it multiple times. These sort of Pokemon, basically, you can't one-shot a Chansey. Like, a Chansey can eat, like an Eviolite Chansey can eat, like, a Staraptor close combat, like, for breakfast, right? It's broken. It's just so good. Yeah, it's Chansey Buster rolling over Monster. Yeah, Chansey can do so many things. It's just ridiculous. It's damn near unKOable. You need Taunt, or you need, like, something else to break a Chansey late game. They go for minimizes in VGC. In singles, they're just really, really hard to deal with. It just has way too much. You don't need to even invest in the HP. You just fully invest in defense and SpDef, and you just never get KO'd. So good mon. Blissey's also really good, but Chansey's the problem Pokemon in a lot of formats. I hope they change Eviolite, or, like, they do something to make Eviolite. I hope they take Eviolite out of the game, actually, if I'm being completely honest. Because Pokemon like Chansey, Pokemon like Porygon 2, that's not supposed to be a thing, right? That's, like, not supposed to be a thing, in my opinion. Like, those Pokemon, like, Chansey's one of those mons that makes the game, like, damn near unplayable sometimes. And it takes a lot of the fun out of the game, a lot of skill out of the game using Chansey. And I really think that, like, they should change something. Yeah, I don't want Eviolite either. Minimize is not banned in VGC. Yeah, you just don't see it that often in this format because max moves ignore evasion. So you don't see it as much. But, yeah, it's a lame mechanic. Like, Eviolite. Eviolite was supposed to be used to, like, make... Let's see. What's a good example of, like, an Eviolite mon? Like, Vigoroth. with Eviolite could be cool. A little bit bulkier, able to use. Scyther is a good Eviolite mon because it has a good speed stat, right? It's a fun Eviolite mon. This Pokemon would normally not see play, but with an Eviolite, that's usable. That's cool. It's not made to make Chansey and Porygon 2 and Pokemon that weren't supposed to get additional evolutions, like, unbreakable. Dusclops, yeah, that's not supposed to be a thing either. Like, Dusclops, Chansey, Porygon 2, those are literally all mons that, like, are... I shouldn't look at those Pokemon, right, and say, man, like, I can't wait to play Trick Room. I can use Dusclops. Instead of, like, a Pokemon, like, alright, case in point. Why would you ever use a Hypno over a Dusclops? There is not a single, I can't even think of a reason. Everything that Hypno could ever think about doing, Dusclops does it better. Like, and that's sad. That would just literally invalidates like a fully evolved line of Pokemon. Cause Dusclops. Same thing, why would you ever use, like a regular Trick Room setter when you can just use like a Porygon 2? There's no reason, right? And so I hope they change Eviolite, or I hope that they, like, take away these busted setup moves from the Eviolite evolutions. Like, for example, make it so, like, Porygon and Porygon 2 can't learn Trick Room, but Porygon Z can. Make it so, like, Blissey might be able to minimize if you want to be that guy, or just take minimize from that line. You know what I mean? Like, make it so the things that break those Pokemon, take it away. So, like, if people still want to use those Eviolite mons because they like them a lot, well, they can. Like, same thing, like, take away Trick Room from everything but Dusknoir. Like, why yeah, the unevolved forms should not overshadow the main form. No one uses Dusknoir. Dusknoir is awesome. It gets so many cool things, and no one would ever use one because the Eviolite Dusclops. Yeah. To go to Ash Pikachu should not be able to evolve. They can code cross evolution Pokemon, not use Eviolite. Yeah. But anyways, we're looking at Scyther. Good mon. Good attack stat. Good with Eviolite. 105 base speed's actually above average. Scyther's totally usable. Gets Technician. Can go for a bunch of really cool stuff. So Scyther's actually a usable mon. Scissor's way better, but Scyther's good. Alright, we're on to another Eviolite. Not Eviolite. Another Intimidate user. I'm taking another sip of my coffee. Oh man, it's been a long day. We've already been at this for an hour, and we're like 20 Pokemon in. I'm gonna have to go fast. So Gyarados, right? I think Gyarados is good in both VGC and singles. A lot of people really, really like Moxie Gyarados. And I'm going to tell you guys why Moxie Gyarados is worse than Intimidate in every format. In VGC, Intimidate's better. It hits both. So it allows Gyarados to do what it wants, but also allows Gyarados' teammates to do what it wants. Being able to neuter those physical mons is very, very important in doubles. Intimidate's going to be better in that format. But in singles, you know, Intimidate, if you send Gyarados at the right time, it can intimidate a physical attacker. Now, if you intimidate that physical attacker, two things are going to happen. Number one, they're not going to be able to KO you anymore, or not be able to do significant damage over time, over 3 to 4 turns. Turns like a potential 1-hit or 2-hit KO into like a 3 or 4-hit KO in certain situations. So they're going to have to, A, stay in and just you do little damage. If you have things like leftovers or like a pinch berry or something like that, you can actually completely wall them and set up as many Dragon Dances as you want, or they have to switch. And if they switch, you get a Dragon Dance. Now, a Dragon Dance on a singles Gyarados is better than Moxie, because Moxie boosts your attack, Dragon Dance boosts your speed, right? If I can KO something after a Dragon Dance, I can probably KO something else too. So, Intimidate leads to a free Dragon Dance in singles Gyarados if you play it correctly. And so, while everyone goes to Moxie and thinks Moxie is really, really good, like, Intimidate is the thing that allows you, if used correctly, to get a better boost than Moxie, while also providing way more team support if you need it for a late game. So, it's not that Moxie's bad. Moxie is still a great ability. If you want to use it on Gyarados, like, be my guest. If you're able to, like, get that Dragon Dance off and have Moxie, the game's over. But what I'm trying to say is you don't need to do that. It's not nearly as safe, and it's just not better. Thunderwave Gyarados is good. So is Roar. 1 DD and Moxie Gyarados just obliterates the entire team. But the thing is, it's like, it's a lot harder to get the DD off if you don't have the Intimidate, right? There's 1,000 more times. Like, for example, if I have a Gyarados with Moxie and my opponent leads with Garchomp, I can't stay in. A Stone Edge or a Rock Slide or even 2 Dragon Claws, I'm dead, right? But if I lead Intimidate Gyarados versus Garchomp, I can go for multiple Dragon Dances in front of that Garchomp because it can't do anything, right? Unless it crits out, you know, but then that's just never lucky in that situation, you know? So it's like, I think it's just better to use the Intimidate. And take this as someone who's like top cut with multiple Gyarados. Intimidate's really, really good. Support Gyarados is just straight up fun. Yeah, I like Support Gyarados. I've used it in the past. I think it's very, very good. And they have to respect your ability to be like a big bully too. So Gyarados is great. We're almost done with Gen 1. Let's take a look at all of the evolutions I get once. Vaporeon's good in singles. It gets a good base, HP, good base Spadef. It's always going to be good. Vaporeon's going to be built kind of like Gastrodon is now with Yawn in most formats usually. It's good like Wish user in singles, Wish Passioning and stuff like that. Other than that though, it's a generic water type. It's one of the, actually Vaporeon has one of the higher base special attacks of most water mons. This might be a good mon for Terraing, but like in reality, Vaporeon's a mid to lower tier singles pick, and in VGC it's fun, but it's just not amazing. Yeah. I tried to Vaporeon Rest Rain Dance Hydration on Black and White and broke the game. There you go. Yeah, that's in Black and White. Vaporeon was amazing because weather was permanent. You could Hydration Rest. Like, it was busted. It's like I won so many events with it back then. But nowadays, it's just kind of hard to make it work. Jolteon's going to be great in singles. In VGC, it might see play, but I doubt it. It's a good Yawn user again. Volt Absorb's a good ability. Vaporeon gets Water Absorb, Jolteon gets Volt Absorb, Flareon gets Flash Fire. Those are the abilities you normally see. It's okay. 130 base speed is a great speed stat, depending on what other mons are going to be in the decks. So you're able to go for a lot of faster moves, fast Volt switches, Shadow Balls if you need it, a bunch of other support moves. Jolteon used to get dual screens. I think right now it only gets light screen, but Jolteon still gets a lot of stuff. Is Terastallizing going to be a held item? No, any Pokemon can use it, so that's good to know. It's good to know. But yeah, it's good. Flareon's also a little bit subpar. Flareon gets a good attack stat of 130. One thing about all the evolutions is they all get a base 130 in some stat, right? So Flareon gets a 130 attack. Jolteon gets a 130 special attack. Vaporeon gets a 130 HP. Espeon gets a 130 special attack. Vaporeon gets a 130, I think, in Spadef, right? They all change. A Glaceon's special attack. Leafeon is attack or defense, one of those. Well, it's defense. So that's the thing about Eevees, and Sylveon is a special attack. So they always have a 130. It's like very similar stat lines. And Flareon getting a 130 attack with a 65 base speed's not great. At least it gets Flare Blitz. Let's see if it keeps like a superpower or a fighting coverage move. It's just kind of okay. There's no reason to ever really use a Flareon over an Arcanine, because even if you're going to use like a Flash Fire Flareon, you can choose a Flash Fire Arcanine, and it's better. Jolteon is, see, like, I always said I wish Jolteon got Lightning Rod. That's one of those things. You can't just do that, Like, Jolteon, like, remember what we said about Gengar? You remember what we said about Gengar? Like, Gengar with Levitate invalidates every other ghost type and every other poison type at the same time. If Jolteon, a base 130 mon, got Lightning Rod, it would invalidate every other electric mon. Maybe other than Raichu, because Raichu gets Fake Out. But do you see how that works? Right? You can't just make something absolutely broken. That would just absolutely just destroy everything. Like, if you want a Lightning Rod mon similar to Jolteon, you could use Manectric in a lot of formats. And Manectric also gets fire moves. Like, Manectric's just better than Jolteon in, like, every game. So, yeah, that's basically how it works. Dragonite's going to be a good mon. Let's look at Dragonite. Dragonite is going to be a good Terra mon, I think. I'm not going to go that into, like, Terra mechanics, but, like, Inner Focus is good for making it so you can't get Fake Outed and stopping Intimidates, because Dragonite's usually built physical. Multi-Scale is good if you want to be a little bit bulkier, maybe build with the Policy. It's the common ability that most people use in both singles and doubles, but Inner Focus is still really good because it stops Intimidate. Like, it's very, very good. Both these are amazing abilities for Dragonite. Dragonite has a decent stat line. 80 is a little bit slow. 134 attacks great. Really, really good stat line on this guy. It can be physical, can be special, can be a little bit of mixed. Can do so many different things. It gets good coverage, good Dragon Dance, good Earthquake. It can also get like extreme speed if you want some priority and stuff like that. So Dragonite's gonna be amazing. I think Dragonite's gonna be very, very usable in singles. It's gonna be like immediately OU in singles. Almost every team's gonna have Dragonite on it in singles, in my opinion. And then in VGC, Dragonite's a good mon, but it can kind of struggle in formats. So like, for example, in a singles Dragonite set looks something like Dragon Dance, Extreme Speed, Earthquake, Dragon Attack. That's a single set. In VGC, there's a lot of problems with that, right? It makes it really hard to fit a Dragonite onto a team because, first of all, there's no room for Protect, which you do need, right? So you gotta cut one of those moves for Protect. And then, for example, if you have like a Dragon move, and then like Extreme Speed, and then like Earthquake, well, you can't Earthquake all your teammates, right? So it's like, it really makes Dragonite struggles with like a 4 move slot syndrome in VGC because you gotta have room for Protect. You don't want to hit your teammates with your spread moves, and you can't really set up that well in singles. Like, if I Dragon Dance and you Tailwind, I'm gonna lose. right? So it's, and you're not really, like we talked about it, even if you're Dragonancing up, Dragonite's a single target attacker for the most part. You don't stab that EQ unless you're tearing, and we're not even going to talk about that. But like Dragonite hits something, right? And then, cool, Dragonite might get a KO, but then Dragonite just gets KO'd by that guy's partner. So it's like, those sort of Dragonance all-in single target attack monsters aren't as good in VGC as they are in singles. And someone's like, well, Zacian's really good in VGC. Well, Zacian's really good in singles too, you know? So I'd say Zacian's better in singles than it is in VGC. So, yeah, Dragonite's good. It's just not gonna break the game like a lot of people think it might. Oh, man. We got through Gen 1. 7 gens to go. I could probably cut this up into like 8 videos, but I'm not. If Tailwind's back in the game, as a TM or tutor, I think Dragonite with Inner Focus would be a neat Tailwind setter. Dragonite never got Tailwind though, did it? I don't think Dragonite ever got Tailwind. Tear it with Water Dragon Tail. It's better off with Water. Dragonite's better with Waterfall. Winch is a really good mechanic, and you don't want to miss the Aqua Tail. So the only time you would ever use Aqua Tail was on like Rayquaza, and that's because you needed Aqua Tail to KO Primal Groudon with Mega Ray. But you don't actually... nothing that gets Aqua Tail uses Aqua Tail. Waterfall's better. Alright. Let's take a look at Crobat. We're talking about Tailwind setters. Crobat's amazing. Moxie Dragonite? No, it's not good. Moxie's not great. Are you doing all? Yeah, we're doing all of them today. So Crobat is one of the best Pokemon for Tailwind. It's probably the best non-prankster Tailwind setter. It's probably one of the better Tailwind setters ever created. Crobat's great. Inner Focus means it can't get fake outed or intimidated. And Crobat actually, Infiltrator is also very, very good in singles to break screens. But Crobat gets a 130 base speed, and that is the threshold for what is an ultra speedy boy. 130 is a very, very good speed stat. 90 is a good base attack stat. Brave Birds do a ton of damage. You can put Life Orb, Sharp Beak, anything on this guy. It's going to do a lot of damage with Life Orbs and U-turns. Very, very good mon. Very, very fast. Mon can go for taunts. A lot of support moves. This thing gets it all. Crobat can also be built special with like Nasty Plot, Heat Waves, a bunch of stuff like that usually as well. I love Crobat. Crobat's one of the mons that like I've taken to a lot of regionals. I love everything about this mon. I actually think like when people always say like, what's your favorite shiny mon? Like, it's Crobat, man. I love shiny Crobat. Shiny Crobat looks sick. Like Crobat, I'm a Crobat believer. Like there have been so many different teams I've made with Crobat over the years, and it's definitely a mon that I like to use a lot. It's one of the victims of Sword and Shield and like the speed tier changes, because it used to be Prankster always was like you could always Tailwind Prankster, right? As long as like as far as you know, as far back as you could do that. And but the speed changes really affected Crobat, because like let's say you're leading Crobat and they lead Whimsicott. Back in the day, they would have Prankster Tailwind, but speed mechanics changes. Any changes to speed tiers through the use of like Tailwinds, Thunder Waves, anything like that, Icy Winds, didn't start until the end of the turn. Didn't start till the start of next turn. So speed was always calced at the start of the turn. So like you could Prankster Tailwind, but your teammate couldn't use that Tailwind until next turn. So Whimsicott could go Prankster Tailwind, and Crobat would just use Tailwind. And then next turn there would be, you'd have 2 Tailwind mons, and then Crobat would just check the crap out of that Whimsicott because it's a Crobat. But now Whimsicott can go Prankster Tailwind, Talonflame can go Gale Wings boosted Tailwind, and then they can just kill your Crobat before you set Tailwind, or taunt your Crobat before you can set Tailwind and stuff like that. It's lame. It really makes Crobat a lot harder to use. In Sword and Shield, we've had to use different mechanics with Crobat and go for like choice Scarf Tailwinds to be able to outspeed even those other mons once they get their Prankster boost. So like for example, I had a really, really cool team that used choice Scarf Tailwind Crobat next to Dialga, and so we would outspeed those mons even if they had a Tailwind boost, because things were only ever made to outspeed like Zacians and Shadow Riders, and choice Scarf Crobat has a lot of speed. So Expert Belt Crobat, that's a good one. Yeah, Expert Belt Crobat would be good. It gets good coverage moves. I like that a lot. So yeah, I think Crobat's very, very good. Crobat's one of my top 3 favorite Pokemon. It's definitely my top 10. And it's going to see a lot of play in this format as well. We were talking a little bit about like Lightning Rev mons. Raichu, like Raichu Crobat, that's a good lead. It's a good lead, and you can then pivot out the Raichu with a Volt Switch while also protecting your Crobat from electric attacks. Good stuff. We're not going to talk about Pichu, Igglypuff. We can talk about Ampharos, though. Ampharos is not great. It was only ever decent when it had its Mega, and its Mega was still not great. It gets static. Ampharos' stat line is just very subpar. It's okay in Trick Room, but it's still not fast, and it's not slow enough to actually be able to use in Trick Room. Like, you can set up your Trick Room and bring out this Ampharos and just get undersped by like a random Mon, you know? So it's not that great. It has decent HP. I always like using it as like a meme pick in singles. It's definitely one of those like Mons that goes in like the NU tier in singles. It's just not great. It's cool, but it just doesn't have enough going for it. It's gonna need something. It's gonna need like a new move or like a new ability or something like that. I don't think it needs those things. Not every Mon is supposed to be good. That's basically it. Not every Mon is supposed to like break the game and change things. Basically, you're looking at this Ampharos, right? What reason is there to run one of these things when you could just run a Toxtricity? There's none. Toxtricity is way better than this Pokemon in every possible way. So, that's basically it for Ampharos. Azumarill, though, is going to be great. Azumarill is going to be great. Give Ampharos follow me. See, that's too much. But, I mean, I could see it. Azumarill is great. 3 really, really good abilities. It gets Perish Song. So Thick Fat's good on those wall sets. Huge Power is amazing for sweeper sets. It gets like Belly Drum, Aqua Jet, all those things. Sap Sipper is really, really good if you want to Terra into like a solo water type. You can make it so you only have 2 weaknesses, being Grass and Electric. And then you can Sap Sipper to take away the Grass weakness for wall sets. Really, really cool Mon. I think it's good. Good HP stat. Good bulk set on the other side. Look at that low attack stat. Huge Power doubles that attack stat. So it's actually a 100 base. This Pokemon is like actually nuts. I think it's really, really good in singles. I love teams that have like Azumarill and Scizor. They cover each other very, very, very well. You know, like I was talking about. Azumarill has that Grass weakness, pivot to Scizor. Scizor has a Fire weakness, pivot to Azumarill. Both of them have priority moves. Both of them hit really, really hard on the physical side. And very, very good. Like, Azumarill is amazing. And it's one of those Mons that people... This is another good example of everyone's going to try and use all the busted Mons, and they're not going to respect the classics, and they're going to get rolled over by Azumarill when they're trying to like learn how to play the game. So very, very good Mon. It's going to be one of those Mons also because it's not super fast. You can just throw this on a team and make it like a speed reduced slow guy and just underspeed a lot of Trick Room things. And so they set Trick Room, but they're just going to get like one-shotted by your Azumarill. Terra Water, Choice Band, Aqua Jets. There you go. Big damage. Big, big, big damage. Sudowoodo. We saw one of these in the trailer. Sudowoodo's not great. Sturdy's a good ability. Rockhead's okay because it gets Head Smash. We saw the gym leader guy Terra his Sudowoodo, but like Sudowoodo's not great. It's okay in Trick Room, but there's not really a reason to use Sudowoodo over like a lot of the other Mons that are out right now. It gets some unique moves, but like realistically, it's just the cool thing about it is it's like a rock type that gets Sucker Punch. I think that's one of the cooler things about it. But other than that, it doesn't get that many usable things. I didn't know it got Taunt. That's funny. But like, it's too slow to really be usable, and its stats are okay, but not great. So that's basically it. Trailblaze is a scary move. It's Grass Flame Charge. Yeah, the thing is like it's only 30 base speed, so it's not that great, you know. But if Kartana gets that would be nutty. Let's talk about Jumpluff. So Jumpluff, very similar to Crobat, is a Pokemon that I've used at multiple regionals over the years. This is definitely another Pokemon that I also like the shiny of. Let's go look at the shiny. It's so cool. Where is it? Where's the shiny? Look at it, it's pink. It's so cool. It's such a cool guy. I love Jumpluff. Jumpluff's one of my absolute favorite Mons in VGC. I would say this is probably my favorite redirection Mon out of all of the Pokemon that exist. Chlorophyll is an amazing ability, right? It makes it so if you have Sun, you can just kind of tech Sun onto your team and allow people to get up Tailwinds and then encore them into Tailwind while also having redirection, while having Sleep Powder, while having the ability, like this is not even talking about the fact that this Pokemon gets, what's that move? What's that good move? The good move that it gets, that all the grass types get. Strength Stat, right? We're not even talking about Strength Stat. We have Rage Powder, we have Cotton Spore, you can go for so many things. Like Jumpluff literally has it all. It's like a Smeargle with a 110, it's that 110 base speed stat coming at it again. Love Jumpluff. I think Jumpluff got Tailwind in 2016, am I wrong? But either way, Jumpluff can do everything. Everything. Like, this is my favorite redirection Mon. Imagine a world where Smeargle had a 110 base speed stat and Chlorophyll. That's Jumpluff. That's how I see it. This is the type of Pokemon that can make the magic happen. It can make the magic happen. It has redirection, encore, sleep powder, a bunch of other unique, crazy moves. And it's so good. Always had to use Cotton Spore. I could have swore it had it. Anyways, Jumpluff could get Tailwind. I'd use that. I love Jumpluff. Very, very good Mon. Usually I like to pick, it's my favorite Encore user too. Out of all the Encore users that have ever existed, Jumpluff's my favorite. So I like Jumpluff, and I think it's, I think it's gonna be good in VGC. Sunflora, here we go. This is finally a Pokemon that people aren't gonna know how to use until I tell them right now. Sunflora, very, very good. If you want to use Sunflora right now, you can in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. This is one of the best Mons in Trick Room, Hard Trick Room. Every single Hard Trick Room team will use one of these things. It gets Chlorophyll, which is we're not using, but it gets Solar Power. And look at the speed stat, 30. Oh, 105 base special attack. This thing is nuts in Hard Trick Room. In Sun Room, Sunflora Room, this Pokemon is busted. It has the coverage. It gets Encore too, which is really, really good, but it's so good, right? It's so good. Like Sunflora is absolutely amazing in Hard Trick Room in Sun, and people aren't gonna see it coming. Like, so you go, like, you get your Trick Room up and you bring out like Torkoal. What stops Torkoal? Water types. Sunflora Torkoal, once the Trick Room's up, just Eruption and Solar Beam. Everyone's done. Like, easy peasy. Sunflora was a Sungrass Mom with Earth Power before it was cool. It was. Yep. Sunflora is like so good. Like, it's very, very good. And actually, to people that watch my content, the mascot of my channel, back in like the early 2010s, 2012s, every single person's YouTube channel used to have a mascot, right? You know, you don't see it anymore. But like even Moxie Boosted was head honcho back in the day, and every single person was like, you know, there's the yellow swallow. Like every single YouTuber had like a mascot as their icon thing before we used our names. And I used Sunkern. Sunkern, my boy. Like, I love Sunkern. It's useless as shit, but like I think Sunkern's awesome, and Sunflora is cool. Yep, I've used Sunkern at tournaments too. It's so bad, but it's fun to use. It used to be a good toxic. Not good. It used to be able to use stuff with toxic. But yeah, Sunflora is great, and it's definitely gonna see play in Hard Trick Room. You're gonna see a good amount of Sunflora. Quagsire, the demon, the unaware legend, back at it again. This Pokemon's really, really good in singles. It's really, really good in singles just because Unaware makes it so it ignores your opponent's stat boosts, and so it can just set up. It's one of the few Mons. I don't know if Toxic's gonna be a TM in the new game, but it just like gets Toxic. So it gets Toxic, it gets recovery moves, it doesn't care about your opponent's Dragon Dances or Nasty Plots, and it can just wall basically everything. Yep, that's basically it. And it has the same playstyle in VGC, but that's basically it. Quagsire is really hard to get out. And there's also like a new Quagsire thing, the Mud Whooper, right? So I don't know how that's going to work out, but Quagsire is busted, and it's always been busted. It's probably going to continue to be busted. It's one of those Pokemon you really don't want to fight when you go into a team preview. You're like, oh crap, they have Quag, you know, in like any situation. We can talk just a little bit about Espeon and Umbreon. Espeon's not as good in VGC, but in singles, Espeon, you know, gets Magic Bounce, so it uses it to, you can switch it into making them bounce back their Stealth Rocks and have them Stealth Rocks themselves. In singles, there's not that much reason to use Espeon over, you know, other Psychic Sweepers, but it has a 110 base speed stat, which is good. The problem with Espeon in singles, sorry, in VGC is that, and singles, is that it has a very, very one-dimensional moveset. It has Psychic moves and like Shadow Ball, and yeah, Dazzling Gleam, but that's about it. Can't really do anything against Steel types. So most people just use other Psychic types instead. Umbreon, though, really, really good Mon in both singles and VGC. Inner Focus is an amazing hidden ability for it to get for VGC, being able to not get flinched. You can go for Snarls, Stab Foul Plays, Yawns, Moonlights, Wish Passing, all the things. Umbreon's probably the best evolution, maybe other than Sylveon in a lot of situations, and it's very, very good in Sun teams because you can go for Moonlights in the Sun, which restore more health. So yeah, it gets Helping Hand, gets like Baby Doll Eyes if you need stuff like that. Umbreon gets a lot of really, really cool stuff, and it's going to see a lot of play. I think out of all the evolutions in this gen, it's really, really good. It also is a Dark type, so it avoids things like Prankster Taunts, so you can't really even stop it. So yeah, it's pretty good. Umbreon's like really, really good, and you know, a lot of people like it too. It has a cool shiny. Oh man, oh, we're like 40% through. Oh, it's gonna take me a million years to edit this too. It is. It's gonna take me like a million years to edit this, but hopefully people are learning stuff. Hopefully people are having a good time. Murkrow. Let's talk about Murkrow. Murkrow's amazing. So it's a Dark type, right? And it gets Prankster. So that means all of its support moves are +1 priority, and you can't Prankster Taunt this thing. So this thing, if it gets Tailwind, is going to be probably the best Tailwind setter. Maybe Talonflame might be just a little bit better. It's hard to tell. But then Murkrow also gets like Prankster Roosts, Prankster Perish Song. So many unique Prankster things. It has a good speed stat. It's good with Eviolite too, if Eviolite's still in the game. Good with Sash. Prankster Haze. It also gets Prankster Quash. Like, it's good. It's like a mixture of like Sableye and like other Prankster Tailwind setters. This is really, really good. Foul Play's great damage. It's like a super Mandibuzz, you know? But then it also gets things like Snarl and stuff like that. Whirlwind's always good. Gets Prankster Taunts. Like, Murkrow gets Thunder Wave. I think it's so many cool things. Snarl's always good. Yeah, I think Murkrow's a great Mon, and it's going to see a lot of play. It's one of those Mons, you know, similar to, it's basically going to be like the Whimsicott of this format. Your opponent's going to lead with it, and you're going to be like, crap, this thing can do like 13 different things. Let's just see what happens, you know? Because, like, even if you trade, like, it's one of those things that it has, how do I word this? So Talonflame and Crobat, they get Tailwind. That's cool. But then, like, once you trade Tailwinds, your teammate still has to be faster than them, right? Faster than the other Mons. So, like, you know, you couldn't go trade Tailwinds and have, like, a slow Mon, because if they traded Tailwinds, their other Mon, like, if they go Tailwind at a faster partner, they're just going to outspeed you. With Murkrow, though, you can trade Tailwinds, and then you could Thunder Wave them on top of it, right? It's just similar how Whimsicott could use Cotton Spore and have other additional forms of speed control. And so, it has, yeah, it also has a Will-O-Wisp built in kind of with Prankster Feather Dance. Like, Murkrow can do so many different things. It also gets, like, Icy Wind, too. And I've said it before, relatively fast. Like, there's not that many Mons that are ever able to get multiple forms of speed control built into their kits. Yeah, there's the Icy Wind. I was talking about it, yeah. So it's like multiple forms of speed control on top of the Prankster Tailwind makes it really hard to deal with. And Murkrow's an amazing Pokemon. Again, it's dark as well. So you can't Prankster taunt it back. You have to manually taunt it, and the problem with manually taunting is we're Prankster, so you can't even stop it, right? You have to fake out it, and it can just hold that fake out item, get up its guaranteed Prankster moves, and then you just get rolled over. So it's really good for defensive teams. It's really good for aggressive teams. And it's basically going to be the Whimsicott of this format, I feel. So very, 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 very good Mon you have to respect. We already basically talked about Slowking. It's the pivot to Slowbro, like I was talking about, the 110 speed F instead of defense. Very, very good Mon. I think Slowking's going to be a little bit better than Slowbro in most situations. Mischievous is good if Eviolite's in the game, just because it gets Levitate. People don't remember Mischievous as being, like, broken, but in 2017, this was a very, very good Eviolite Mon. That's a good stat line. This thing wasn't meant to get an evolution, so it's a good Mon. It's a lot of really, really cool moves. It plays like a Dusclops, but it gets Perish Song, and that's basically it. It's good Mon. Mischievous is cool. It's really, really hard to break Mischievous, because imagine if Dusclops had Levitate. So in formats where like Max Quake is really, really popular, or Earthquake's really popular, it's hard to break it. So like Garchomp was huge in 2017. This was such a big pivot for teams. Like a lot of people used like Mischievous and had like another Trick Room setter that like potentially had like weaknesses to ground and stuff like that, and so you could pivot them in between the two, and it's like really, really, really good. Girafarig. People were talking about the new Girafarig, and regular Girafarig's good. Inner Focus means it can't be fake outed. Sap Sipper's a good ability. It gets Trick Room. It has a good stat line. Like also I like Girafarig. I made a BDSP team with this thing, and it had Trick Room, but it also had Beat Up. And so Beat Up could be used to proc like Justified onto my teammates and stuff like that. Very, very cool Mon. Very, very cool Mon. I think Girafarig's not terrible, and the fact that it gets like an evolution means like an Eviolite set is possible, and the evolution's probably going to be pretty good. So yeah, Girafarig's good. Girafarig definitely going to see some play. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I've just been literally talking like non-stop. Yeah, normal Psychic's a great type. It's a good type. People sleep on normal types, like basically that Psychic weak, like a lot of the ways that people would check something like a Mischievous or like a Dusclops is like Shadow Balls and big ghost attacks, and Girafarig doesn't have that problem being a normal type. So very, very underrated Mon for sure. Fortress is only really good in singles. It's good in singles though. It gets Sturdy, which is a good ability, being able to protect it. Overcoat's also a decent ability in a lot of situations. But yeah, Fortress, the only real weakness is Fire. Good defense, gets Rocks, gets Spin, Rapid Spin, and hazards and things like that. So Fortress, great hazard setter, great hazard remover, great phaser. Good Mon. Gets Volt Switch usually, which is kind of cool now. So you can always pivot out if you're trapped from like Magnum Pull. So good Mon. Dunsparce. A lot of people, all right, cue the people coming and saying, Dunsparce needs to get an evolution. It does not. This Pokemon is already borderline broken. This Pokemon is already very, very, very close to breaking the game. Like, you can't give it an evolution. If it can hold an Eviolite, it would break the game. right? I don't think people understand that. Even if you gave it, like, the fact, alright, so it gets Serene Grace. This ability is broken, right? Boost the likelihood of added effects. It doubles your % chance of secondary effects. So Dunsparce has a decent speed stat. It's 207, right? So if you double that speed stat, it's faster than everything. So if you agility with this thing, it's faster than everything. And then Dunsparce always gets Headbutt, right? It's an egg move, but it always gets Headbutt, right? So Headbutt would, instead of a 30% chance to flinch, it has a 60. It also gets Rock Slide, so you can hit both your opponents. I have gotten CP in restricted formats with Dunsparce. Oh, you have Primal Groudon, Mega Rayquaza, Xerneas, Primal Kyogre? I don't care. I'm going to win the game with Dunsparce. And the fact that, like, that can happen in those formats with this Pokemon without an Eviolite, like, that's ridiculous. This Pokemon's, like I said, it's very, very close to breaking the game already. It does not need any more buffs. Doesn't need to be faster or stronger or anything. Like, if anything, they should probably take away some things, because, like, that shouldn't be able to be happening. Like, this Pokemon's very, very good. People sleep on it. And I think it's a good Pokemon already. It doesn't need any sort of buffs or anything. Let me check something. Alright. Okay. Yeah, so Dunsparce is, like, super broken. Like, super, super broken. Dunsparce didn't need too. Like, that's the thing. It doesn't need it, though. That's what I'm trying to say. I was like, Dunsparce is really, really good already. And it doesn't need... Need to see a Dunsparce team. Go to YouTube. I have, like, 20 videos. It's there on YouTube. It's there. I've done it in 2019. I've done it in 2018. I did it in 2016. I've done it in 2020. Like, done it in BDSP. Like, this Pokemon's really good. It'd be like, it's already really, really good. So, and it's one of those things kind of like Chansey with Minimize, where, like, there's a difference between something being really good and something, like, breaking the game. 60% chance flinch on Headbutt and Rock Slide basically invalidates your opponent's whole everything from happening, right? That no one wants to play against that. No one wants to not be able to take a turn. And that's one of the playstyles that Dunsparce plays into. So, while I like Dunsparce, I do not think that this Pokemon needs any more buffs. Please don't buff it. It does not need it. I would hate to have to fight one of these. It also gets, like, Roost and other, like, good support moves. Yep. So, yeah, it's good. Quillfish, another Mon. I think it's getting evolution from that Hisuian form. Eevee, like, Quillfish is good. Quillfish is just good by itself. We were talking about, like, Swift Swim Mons. This is a better Swift Swim Mon than Golduck. It just has better typing and better coverage. And it's physical, which is usually actually better than special for Swift Swim users, if you can. I know you think about it like a Swift Swim user, like, oh, Kingdra, it's a good special attacker. Like, oh, Golduck, what do you call it, special attackers? And, like, you think of Swift Swim users as, like Poliwrath, bad Swift Swim user. But in reality, if Swift Swim is a good mechanic, people are going to be EV training to stop things like the Kingdra, Ludicolo's, Golducks that are good special attackers. So they're going to be putting more points in Spadef. That's why Quillfish can actually come in and sometimes be really, really good Mom with, like, a Life Orb or a Terra Double Water or Terra into Poison and just pop people that have, like, full investment in special attack, because people aren't, special defense, because people aren't building to correctly stop Swift Swim users that are physical. Happens once every couple formats. Relicanth was a good one, where it was able to sneak in and, like, carve out a niche for itself in 2017, I think, because people were not putting defensive points to stop Swift Swim Mons. So, it's a good Mon. Yeah, it's also another Intimidate Mon. Good Mon. Quillfish gets a bunch of really cool stuff, like Destiny Mon stuff. So, it's also just good. Speaking of a Mon that's also pretty good, Scizor. Scizzor's really, really good. Technician makes it so its Bullet Punches and other moves that are under base power 60 or lower get a 1.5 boost, so it's really, really strong. It's better in singles, right? It is better in singles. In singles, this is the #1 best Pokemon in BDSP. It's usually one of the best Pokemon in singles formats. It gets Roost, Swords Dance, it can go for Defogs, things like that. Every team needs a Scizor, basically. But in doubles, it's not as common, but I still think in certain formats that are slow enough, where there's not enough power creep, it can be good. The last format Scizor was actually used in as a good Pokemon was probably 2014. 2014, it was great. Really, really good Pokemon in 2014. It was a good counter to Kang. It forced people to tunnel in with their Talonflames. It forced Dragon types to run Flamethrower. It was a healthy Pokemon in 2014 that saw a lot of play. But realistically, it just doesn't... Normally, there's just better Pokemon to run. Azumarill is usually better in VGC than Scizor. And yeah, I think that I'd like to use it. I've taken Scizor to regionals before. I took it to Nats in 2014. Good Mon. But it just doesn't really see play in VGC that much as opposed to singles. Hidden ability was Hyper Cutter. I'd still use Technician. I still use the Technician. I don't think I'd use Hyper Cutter. Because, like, I feel it's one of those things to where, like, I could just put a competitive Mon on my team and still have... Like, because then that would invalidate the whole reason to use, like, Bullet Punch and stuff like that on Scizor. I don't think I'd use Hyper Cutter. I think I'd still use Technician. We'll talk about Sneasel, even though Weavile's in the game, because Sneasel gets Inner Focus where Weavile doesn't, and it has a 115, so it's a faster Fake-Out user than things like Alolan Raichu and... Sorry, not Alolan, but, like, regular Raichu. So it's still usable. And, that's basically it. I think this is the one thing that it gets, is it's a fast Fake-Out user with Intimidate. Sorry, not Intimidate. Inner Focus, which means it can't be intimidated and it can't get Fake-Outed. And that's basically it. It's usable on, like, meme teams. And I don't know anything about this thing. So it's Poison Fighting, which is a completely different typing. But we'll see if it ends up seeing play. Sorry. I think the Hisui and Cecil evolves in that Sneasler. I don't know anything about that either. So, again, I didn't really play Arceus. But it's a good Pokemon. Sneasel sees play in formats sometimes. So, we'll see. Breathe. I know, right? So much talking. Like, there's just so much stuff. We're not even done with Gen 2, guys. It's already been an hour and a half. I'm, like, actually tired. Bros. It's hard. There's just so much stuff to talk about. There's just so much stuff to talk about with, like, every gen and every mon and stuff like that. This is gonna be the longest video I've ever made on my channel. Usually when I make these videos, too, like, I'm fucking done with life for the rest of the day. Is Hitmonchan in? It's not. It's not in. Not yet. Sorry. I hate that Sneasel thing. It has 130 attack and 115 speed. Only exists to make Toxicroak relevant forever. Well, there you go. That's what happens, you know. We'll talk just a little bit about Ursaring, even though I think that Ursaluna thing's in the game. Ursaring's okay. We were talking a little bit about Guts earlier and how, like, having Guts, it takes too much time to set up Guts, and then it still is just pinned by Intimidate. Cost your item. It's just not worth the investment on a lot of mons. I think the only good Guts user is, like, Conkeldurr. Toxic Feet is a little bit different. Sorry, Quick Feet's a little bit different. Being able to get a +2 speed is actually a little bit better than getting a +1 to your attack stat. It has a decent speed stat, too. Like, if this gets a +1, it goes to a 110, which is a good speed stat, faster than base 100. So, it's a good mon. I just think that in general, though, it gets outclassed. Like, there's no real reason to use an Ursaring when you could use, like, something even like a Donphan, like a Tyranitar or something, in my opinion. Houndoom, though, is definitely going to see play in formats, I think. Houndoom's good. Flash Fire is a great ability. Remember how I also talked about Unnerve? Really, really good ability for being able to stop those big berry users. But Flash Fire is great. And also, a cool thing about, like, Unnerve is, like, in the team preview, they don't know which ability you have, right? So they're going to have to respect your Flash Fire and not use fire attacks. I also think that, realistically, like, fire moves aren't going to be that usable in this gen. I have a reason. That Ceruledge Pokemon, that thing, they both have Flash Fire. So that means that, like, if any of those Pokemon are popular, they're going to be in every single team, which means, like, you're just not going to see as many fire attacks. So, just because people don't want to get those guys Flash Fire procs. It's like, whenever Heatran's really popular, you see a dip in fire mons. Just because, like, or fire moves being splashed, just because, like, people don't want to proc Flash Fires. Favorite Houndoom set was Sash with Flame Charge, Counter, Destiny Bond. Yeah, I like Sash, Destiny Bond. With counter, because that way you can go for like a counter to KO something off your Sash and then Destiny Bomb the next guy. That's a set that I really, really like using in both VGC and singles. It's one of the few mons that gets those moves too. It gets counter, it gets Destiny Bomb, it gets Nasty Plot, it gets dark moves and fire moves, which are great coverage. Really good special attacker. It also gets things like Feint, which a lot of people don't ever think of. Sucker Punch, Beat Up. It's good for proccing Justifieds. Like, Houndoom's a good mon that people definitely sleep on. And, yeah, I'm happy to have it back. It's one of those mons that, like, I like teching onto teams to put that extra little spice onto a team that might need something just a little bit different for a regional. So I love Houndoom for stuff like that. Donphan's only really good in singles. It's not that great in VGC. There's no real reason to run a Donphan in as opposed to something like a Garchomp in previous formats, and I'm sure this format will have very similar things. It has good attack stat, it's good defense stat. Its speed's nothing to write home about. It can't really do anything in a Tailwind, and it's a little bit too fast to work in Trick Room. So it's one of those mons that's only really good in singles. It gets access to you know, things like Stealth Rock, things like Roar. It doesn't get a recovery move, which is its biggest problem in singles. A lot of people like to put Ice Shard on it to check things like dragons and other like flying mons. It's okay. Donphan is okay. Other than that, like, yeah, it gets Rapid Spin, gets Knockoff. Like, it learns these moves, so if these moves aren't like tutor moves, like the Knockoff, it's one of the only Knockoff users in singles, so it's a good mon. And Rapid Spin does give it speed boost now, but like, it's still kind of just okay. Donphan is great in singles though. Like in BDSP, it's one of the best mons in the format. Say Ursaring slept on. We just talked about the reason why it's not. Like it. So, I guess I'll go back. What does this do? Tell me the best situation in which you could use an Ursaring. What do you think it is? What's the... So, like, who are you sending like, is the best situation... Is it in singles... First of all, in doubles, Ursaring is shit, right? Because, like, it's a single target attacker, so, like, Ursaring attacks one thing, and then, yeah, you might kill that thing if you're set up perfectly in the God scenario, but then Ursaring just gets taken out by the partner. Like, even the support mons using, like, just Psychic or, like, random moves can do enough damage to Ursaring, because Ursaring has to be built in with, like, a Toxic or a Flame Orb, so it's taking chip damage. Guts TR Sweeper. So, it's not slow enough to work in TR. You set TR, and I just sent out an Azumarill and underspeed it and Oko you. It's also, because it has to take damage from the Guts, from the Flame Orb or the Toxic Orb, it's within range for priority moves. Bullet Punch, Aqua Jets take this thing out easy. Space 130 attack. That's not that high, right? So it's like, and also you say, like, you set up and you get your Guts boost, and then it's like, cool. While you were setting up the Protect to get your thing active, I used Reflect, or like I used Intimidate, or I set up a bulk up of my own, or something like that. It's just not good. Yeah, see, Neve's right. In singles, what it will do is Quick Feet, Toxic Orb, Facade as a wall breaker. And I mentioned that it's better with Toxic, or with Quick Feet than it is with Guts, right? So it's just, we talked about this at the start of the stream. It's one of these mons that, like, even if it's being used perfectly best, the best it could possibly done, there's no reason to use an Ursaring over, like, a freaking Tyranitar. There's just no reason. It doesn't do anything that Tyranitar couldn't do better, right? Tyranitar Sandstream can be used to break sashes. It gets a Spadef boost. It can get Dragon Dance if you want to go fast. If you want to go slow, T-Tar's slow, right? Guts Facade return hits pretty hard. Okay, again, I'm not trying to be a bully, but like, how do you get that off? Tell me how you get that off. You don't just come in Guts procced, right? You have to protect or like take a turn to do it. Your opponent's not going to be like, while you're waiting for your Guts to activate, you're getting hit in the face with a Water Spout. You're getting hit. It doesn't just work. Just use Conkeldurr. That's the thing. It's like, there's so many mons that do what Ursaring does better. It's a little bit too fast to work in Trick Room. It's a little bit too slow to be a sweeper. You could just put a choice band on something. Like, I think Hariyama's in the game. There's no reason to ever use an Ursaring over Hariyama. It gets Facade, ignores Amoonguss. Ignores Amoonguss. Are you talking about Ursaring? Why does it ignore Amoonguss? You can just... First of all, Amoonguss isn't in the game. But you could just Rage Powder the Ursaring, right? But you could just Rage Powder it. It doesn't ignore Rage Powder. So, like, get set, Rage Powder, kill a teammate. Nice Ursaring. It just takes too much time to get going, and your good opponents are actively doing things that make you too far behind to set up while you're setting up. Yeah, the thing is, like, yeah, it takes way too much time. Like, yeah, they would just wait out your next 2 turns of TR. It takes 2 turns of your TR to set the thing up. It's one of those things that everyone thinks like, oh, it's so good on paper, and then like, no, it's not. You know, it's no good opponent's gonna let you do those things. Your opponent's not just gonna be just like waiting around. Like, any Pokemon can KO this thing in like 1 hit after it takes 2. It's gonna have to take like 2 ticks of burn, right? And so while this stat line looks good, like HP 90, that's great. This is not good. Defense 75, 75, not good. You know. After 2 ticks of burn, it gets OHKO'd by like a Bullet Punch from a Scizor. That's like not optimal, you know? Yep, so Neve's right, that you'd have to be like using some sort of other teammate to like enable it. Amoonguss can still Rage Powder Ursaring, that's the thing, yeah. An Intimidate opponent hurts Ursaring a lot. In singles, same thing too, yeah. So like you go through all this trouble, it's using your item, an item that negatively takes your HP, and you go through 2 turns to set up a +1. 2 turns to set up a +1, and it's like Intimidate, bro. And it's like, but Basad, it's like, but Ghost type, but Steel, you know? You can build a core to protect and ready. Why? I'm just trying to be honest here. Like, tell me why. I would, after 2 ticks of burn, this thing gets KO'd by like a AoE earthquake. There is no core to protect it. Like, if I'm seeing an Ursaring in doubles as well, throw this out there. Let's say I lead Intimidate, give it a -1, right? And I know it has to protect, or at the very least, this first turn, it's Intimidated, it's at a -1, it hasn't activated its guts yet. I can just switch in a fake out user for turn 2 to fake out at the turn after its protect is on cooldown and it won't start doing stuff. And then I can switch out that Intimidators and bring it back in at -2. Like, there's no possible way this Pokemon ever gets anything done in a VGC format. And in singles, you can just cycle Intimidates on it for days. The moral of this story is don't use shitty Pokemon. Yeah, like I said, I have a full Patreon article on Patreon, like, explaining why it's like a red herring. It's not, it's one of those things that sounds cool, not good. Like, it's too frail. You get to Calyrex Ice? What? Calyrex Ice has Beast Boost, basically, and a Nerve. And Calyrex Ice has twice, oh, maybe 3 times the bulk this thing has. This Calyrex Ice is bulky. Ursaring gets OHKO'd by everything. And it has to hold an item that negatively takes away its HP. Zoric's good, though. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. Like, Ursaring's just bad. Like, please, if you guys like Ursaring, like, bring Ursaring. I'll fight every Ursaring here. Never once lose this Pokemon. You can use it and have fun, but as far as competitive success, you won't get more than some fun games on ladder. If you're forced to build a team around it, it isn't Slept On. Slept On implies you can use it with almost any team. Like, yeah, Slept On means, like, it has, like, people are not giving it its due. People see what Ursaring does, and they actively choose, they say, like, that's bait. That rock meme, you know, like the, or whatever no, it's not the rock. Who does that? That one guy is like, that's bait. Don't take the bait. Don't fall for Ursaring. It also has to hold an item that takes its HP away every turn. Like, you lead Ursaring and I lead T-Tar. This is just a whole other scenario. Let's see, singles or doubles, doesn't matter. Sandstorm's active. So you're going to take a Sandstorm chip. You're then going to activate your guts the next turn. So first turn you protect, doesn't matter. Like, we waste turn. You take a Sandstorm. Next turn, I protect. You take Burn and Sandstorm. You are now at like 70% HP. And like, T-Tar just outspeeds Ursaring. So I could literally just click Rock Slide and you're dead. Like, what? Yeah, let's talk about T-Tar. Blissey busted. You guys heard this before. Let's talk about Blissey really quick. It gets Serene Grace, which is the big busted move. You can go for Thunder, 60% chance Para Thunder, 20% chance Ice Beam, 20% chance Flamethrower. Really, really good. Natural Critical good in singles. It gets all the hazards. Blissey's just Blissey, guys. You don't need to protect turn 1. Okay, hold on. You're saying Ursaring doesn't need to protect turn 1? So then how are you getting this Guts combo to work? Because, like, you can't just kill a damn T-Tar. I mean, I mean, let's look at the fucking Ursaring. You don't need to protect turn 1. Okay, then why are you Guts Ursaring then? I mean, you're gonna Hammer Arm me, bro? I mean, you can use these moves if it gets them. But, like, also, like, T-Tar gets to hold items too, you know? T-Tar gets to do things too. Am I doing the ultimate? I'm not doing that. Are we gonna talk about Ursa? I mean, maybe, we'll see. I don't know anything about that Pokemon. I don't think it's great, though. It's one of those things that it just takes too much setup. to use Guts. Like, you could just use it with another ability. It probably gets, like, any other ability is probably better than Guts. Guts is not a good ability. I think people are over-centralized to Guts because Guts Conkeldurr is really good and Guts Hariyama is good. And the reason why Guts is good on those Pokemon, similar to how I think people were trying to talk about Ursaring earlier, is so you can't Spore it. That's the good thing about Guts on Hariyama and Conkeldurr, so you can't Spore it. It's not even about the attack, and those Pokemon have, like, recovery options. Ursaring has no recovery options, it's not bulky, it has no priority, which those things do have. It gets no wide guards or anything weird, it's just middle of the pack, not great. Right? It's just not great. But Blissey busted, we talked a little bit about Blissey, you can do all the stuff Blissey needs to do. Guts, I like Guts more as a status, may I dare you. Yep, I agree. I 100% agree. That's why I like Guts on, like, Heracross. Because a lot of people respect Moxie on Cross, and Cross didn't always used to have Moxie. I also like Swarm on Heracross, but, like, Guts is more so like, you know you want a Will-O-Wisp or Toxic. I can switch in on this and then get a +1. Do you like Guts on Obstagoon? I don't think it's worth it. I think, what is it? Its other ability is good. Doesn't it get Defiant? Doesn't Obstagoon get Defiant? That's an amazing ability. Like, why would I go through all the trouble of wasting my item to get a +1 when I could use Defiant and be immune to Intimidate and be freaking crazy? Like, I think Guts is just the stupidest ability. It takes way too much time and holds your item, and then that same item takes away your health. It's the most ass-backwards thing. It's Stockholm Syndrome. People have Stockholm Syndrome with the freaking Guts ability, man. Maybe people just think that it's like big brain. Because it's like, I can use my item to give myself a negative stat that's actually a positive. And it's like, no, it's just bad. That would have been too good. Lightning would have invalidated Dragapult in the format then. I wouldn't have liked that. Defiant Mons can't be, like, broken. They can't be broken. Give Tyranitar Defiant, you cowards. But anyways, I'll take a sip of my drink, because I'm sure someone's already typing up something about, like, Obstagoon or Ursaring is their final huzzah. If someone can convince me that Guts is good on something other than, like, Conkeldurr and Hariyama, like, what else gets Guts? Let's just go to Guts. Incin? Bro. Incin needs Intimidate. Bishop is defined in Sucker Punch? Yeah, but Bishop's not a ghost. Sorry, Bishop's not a normal type. That's the thing. Alright, let's check out Guts. Every Gutsmon sucks. Machamp? That doesn't use Guts. We talked about Heracross with Guts, yeah? Tyro, Guts, no. T-Tar, no. Swellow is good with Guts. Swellow is a good Gutsmon. You know why? It's not in the game, right? But Swellow gets 125 base speed. Is good. It already is fast. And it's not good in VGC. Hariyama, good Gutsmon. Can't hit it. Can't hit these guys with Sleep Powders. They're good Gutsmons. That's it. That's it. All the other Gutsmons suck. They're literally better with, like, every other ability. Alright. I'm gonna take the last little sip of my coffee. And then we'll finish talking. We're not even to Gen 3, guys. Hold on. How much more do we have? I think we're gonna have to 2-part this. We're gonna have to, like, 3-part it, I think. I think we actually have to, like, 3-part it. Like, I can't just sit here for, like, 7 hours, you know? I always say that I'm gonna do the full decks, and I can't. But I'll finish this one. I think like, so it's Wednesday? Guts Flare on TR might be pog. You could just Choice Band it! Choice Band is just better than Guts. Just put a Choice Band on it. It's the same boost. You get it immediately. It doesn't take away your health. You're welcome. Alright. Let's finish off T-Tar. T-Tar, after 20 years, will finally get a good special rock move? What do you mean? Ancient Power is busted. So let's talk about T-Tar. Sandstream's amazing. Sand Rush users are always good. Sandstream, you know, also breaks sashes, but also gives rock types a 1.5 speed up boost, so very, very good on T-Tar. Unnerve makes so you're ignoring those Guts users, not Guts. You're ignoring those Berry users like we were talking about. But yeah, T-Tar's great. This is probably... whatever, you can hold me to this. I will take Tyranitar to the first regional in San Diego. There is no situation where this Pokemon will not be absolutely pivotal. Top 10, singles, doubles. T-Tar is the guy that you use at the first regional of the season, if you can. This is like the best Pokemon ever made. Like literally, when I go into a new gen, what I do is I look at the full dex and I'm like, is there a T-Tar? Well, then I'm running it, right? Like that's literally it. It breaks sashes, it enables teammates, you're able to play defensive and aggressive. It just has too much stats. It can be physical, it can be special. We also listed briefly a lot of the Intimidate users. Arcanine, Gyarados, we're going to see things like Staraptor, Luxray, and other things like that. T-Tar has good moves against all of those, while also being a dark type, so being immune to Prankster, right? So it's just way too good. All reliable. Like, everyone's going to be using all these new mons, and using their new starters, and all these new things, and it's like, T-Tar. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. This is the #1 mon you need to use first, is Tyranitar. 100%. It can be built with Dragon Dance aggressive. It can be built bulky with like Snarls. Like I said, physical special. We do so many things, right? It has great coverage. Yeah, it's such a good. It's going to be one of the best Terramons ever made. Like, Terramons are also going to be really, really good. We're just going to talk about Terra for like a second. Mons that have one really, really big weakness, like, you know, Scissor's only weak to fire. T-Tar's big weakness is fighting. Those are going to be good Terramons because you can make it a ghost. And then that just changes fucking everything. Like, people are talking about the defensive values of Terra. Like, T-Tar's really good. And the cool thing, like, if, like, let's say, I just want to look hypothetically. Let's go to Gen 5 for, like, 1 second and see if it's in the game. It doesn't look like it's in the game yet. But, like, a good core at the start of every single format this has ever been legal, you can look at 2018, you can look at 2020, is T-Tar Trevenant. Or T-Tar and, sorry, not Trevenant, Gourgeist, right? Is T-Tar Gourgeist. That board can go T-Tar pop off, do whatever it wants, or it can go Trick Room, and then you can like go for Trick or Treat into your own T-Tar to make it a ghost type, right? And so you have to respect so many different forms of like speed control, while also respecting so many different sort of types with T-Tar and Trevenant, or sorry, and Gourgeist, while also respecting getting frisked at the same time. It gives the user a lot more leeway and a lot more value at the start of like a VGC format. At the start of a format, because you're able to like also use frisk to be able to scout what items are using early. So it's really, really cool. Hopefully, like, Gourgeist is in the game. Gourgeist T-Tar is an amazing core. Also, Gourgeist, being a grass ghost, nullifies the things T-Tar is weak against. Things like, you know, fighting. Things like, let's see, water attacks, grass attacks. Really, really good coverage. That took top 4 at Nats. I wouldn't be surprised. I know Rogov top cut Dallas with it at the very first regional Sword and Shield. And it's been good in multiple different formats. So, but it's the Trick or Treat potential after. You can also use Trick or Treat on your opponent's mons to make them a ghost type and hit them with big stab dark moves from your T-Tar. So, be used aggressively, defensively, so many cool things, potential for like Will Whips and all those other things too. T-Tar is big busted. We stand T-Tar here. And I know I said I was going to get through all of them, but I think we're going to call it here. We got through Gens 1 and 2. Tomorrow we'll probably do Gens 3 and 4. And 5, and then we'll probably do Gen 6 and 7 on Friday, and then go into like afterthoughts at the very end. So I apologize this didn't get through all of them, but like we've already been here for a really, really long time. And there's still a lot of stuff to talk about. So hopefully you guys learned something. What side am I right now? I'm on Pokemon DB. I will give you guys the link to what I'm on right now. So think about checking it out. As always, if you guys liked this, you want to learn more about competitive Pokemon going into Scarlet and Violet, drop a follow here. You can also check out my YouTube channel, where we upload videos literally every single day, competitive battles. This video is going to get put up onto YouTube as well. So think about checking those things out. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.